My bad. We let a sex offender, a child sex offender, dressed up like a girl, read to those kids. That was probably not the best thing we could do, and we're sorry. That was great. They nailed it.
Soy Boy Chloe is 110% organic, non-GMO, gender misogynistic generation, identitarian.
And there's no need for anyone to think that is unacceptable. We're going to shut them down and work with whoever it is to shut them down, and they should be prosecuted. You cannot intimidate members of Congress.
I'm not gonna respond to that. I already used too many words. I was told by my handler, don't talk on this because I will shove my foot in my mouth. Just don't do that. Just move on. Just move on. It's dumb. How could you even think that just because I was in charge of policy with the Ukraine as vice president, and just because I actually told the government that if they didn't fire the prosecutor that was looking into the company that my son was involved in, and he was getting paid $50,000 a year, and he didn't know jack diddly dick about this job. How could you think for a minute that was inappropriate, or that I did anything wrong? Even though I sat and I bragged about the fact I got this guy fired, and I told him I wasn't going to give him money unless they did what I said. How can you think that I did anything wrong? This is just such a dumb question. And I can't believe we're entertaining.
And all these other social media platform people say they struggle with figuring out where the line is and how to, we remove hate speech, but we also want to promote free speech and discussion. It's very simple. It's very simple. All you got to do is follow the Constitution. Follow the Constitution. Follow the Bill of Rights. Follow the First Amendment.
Be elected president.
She says, Senator Kamala Harris said that if she is elected president, she will give Congress 100 days to act on gun control. If they don't, she'll take matters into her own hands, she said during the CNN town hall. Wow, that doesn't sound like a dictatorial response, right? That doesn't sound like a very democratic position to have. We need to get back to the Constitution and follow it, not farther away and water. You know what? I'm pretty sure she came out against Trump when he said he was going to take executive action on the wall, right? So if you believe in freedom of speech and the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, you are a bad side note. The Democrats months ago were saying there was no crisis at the border. Now read the headlines.
This program is produced by Freedom Force TV.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Patriot Super Panel. So glad you guys are hanging out with us tonight. My name is SJG. Sorry that we had a bit of a delay in the beginning there. We had a few technical difficulties, but hey, what else is new? That happens when we're producing it and going live. Things happen. So I'd like to go around the horn here. We'll start with American Joe, and we'll just have everyone give a brief little hello and what they're all about, and take it away, Joe.
Thanks, brother. My name's American Joe on YouTube, on DLive, all over the place, and I'm basically just your average American Joe, straight white conservative Christian, Bible thumping, God fearing Christian, and I'm here to just tell the truth as I see it. I'm a flawed man, but God is working on me every day. And when I go to my channel, I just tell you guys the way I see it, and I don't use many filters. Although YouTube pretty much makes me use filters. That's why I like DLive so much, because I can speak a little more unfiltered over there.
Amen. All right. Hey, Mike, why don't you take it away and give the audience that doesn't know you, which I bet everyone does, but give it a little intro yourself.
All right. Glad to be here with SJG Perspective, American Joe, Doug, Jennifer, and Robert. Again, I'm Michael, the Patriot Hour. Again, we always say, look at everything, connect your own dots, believe nothing until you can verify it. In the sea of lies, we're all looking for the truth, and we bring it in many different flavors. So I'm happy to be here tonight with everybody. Thank you.
Glad to have you. And I'm new to you, Jennifer. Actually, it's the first time we've met. So Jennifer at Veterans for Truth, why don't you give a little shout out and tell everybody watching what your channel's about, and kind of how you got going with this whole thing.
All right. Hey, I'm Jennifer from Jennifer Veterans for Truth. I started this just because, like most of us, saw the media just with their nonsense all day, every day. And I talk about things that might be a little bit different than all the other guys. I'm a little bit harder on the correction, but it's just all about the truth. So
very cool. We're very glad to have you.
That's
Douglas.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. I'm happy to be here with all these wonderful American patriots. I'm Douglas Ducote of the Douglas Ducote Show on Tuesday and Thursday nights. YouTube channel, Douglas M. Ducote Sr. I'm in competition, although he doesn't want to admit it, with American Joe. If you think my beard looks prettier than his, please give a 1. And also, I'm a neighbor of Jennifer, although I've never met her. Happy to be here.
All right, and we're going to be trying to be quiet because he had a little bit. His mic we worked with it as long as we could, so we're going to be quiet when he's talking. That's as much juice as we can get out of it, because I'm sure people are going to say he's low, but it's his best. We're going to work with it. It's all we got. Robert, take it away.
All right. My name's Robert Noerr. My channel's called Normal America. You can find me on DLive at Rob Noerr DLive, or on YouTube at Normal America with Rob Noerr. The idea behind my show is just trying to speak to normal Americans that don't have a voice anymore. I ran for Congress in a special election 2019. I'll be running again in Pennsylvania in 2022. And I was all set up to make a beard joke, but Doug stole my thunder. So I have nothing funny to say. I apologize.
That's more like a shadow over there, not really a beard, Robert. But
well,
yeah, exactly. That's like you haven't shaved in a few days, but I actually haven't. So, well, again, thank you guys for coming and hanging out with us tonight. Again, I'm SJG Perspective, and we had a few things we wanted to talk about tonight. We were bouncing around what we were going to talk about first, but I thought we would start off with, even though it's been all over the news and maybe some people's brain is starting to hurt with it, with this coronavirus stuff. Now, I started when this first came out, as I'm sure probably all of us did. When it first came out, we started, we were talking about it, and I had my suspicions on this coronavirus from the get-go of what the whole deal was and why everybody was freaking out so much about it, when it didn't seem at the beginning like it was that huge of a deal. I still have my suspicions of why this, this virus is being pushed so hard, but it's starting to spread, and there's a lot of fear around it. And today we saw that the stock market finally got around to taking about 1,000-point hit. And I heard some people trying to throw Trump into this mix, believe it or not, of how, now that the market is going to crash, Trump will have nothing to stand on. And but so I thought we would start off with this. And I know Douglas covered a little bit of this today or was looking into it. So I think I'm going to give the football to Douglas to give us some thoughts on this.
Okay. First off, can you hear me now? 1, 2, 3, testing. Is that good?
It's about the same. It's about the same.
Good enough.
Okay. So I guess the most important thing that I can say right now that I think everybody needs to be aware of with the coronavirus, first off, I haven't done anything on it until today. Today was the first video I did on it. And what prompted me to do that was when we had the stock market, the Dow go 1,000 points drop. So this is the most important takeaway I can give you at the moment. And this was posted yesterday on the CDC's Center for Disease Control website, all right, which is where, if you're going to monitor this, that's where you need to be. They're in the World Global Health Organization. This is what they just posted 24 hours ago. More cases are likely to be identified in the coming days, including more cases in the United States. It's also likely that person-to-person spread will continue to occur, including in the United States. Widespread transmission of the coronavirus in the United States would translate into large numbers of people needing medical care at the same time. Schools, childcare centers, workplaces, and other places for mass gatherings may experience more absentees. Public health and healthcare systems may become overloaded with elevated rates of hospitalization and deaths. Other critical infrastructures such as law enforcement, emergency medical services, and the transportation industry may also be affected. Healthcare providers and hospitals may be overwhelmed. At this time, there is no vaccine to protect against the coronavirus, no medications approved to treat it, and then it goes into like the common symptoms of what to expect. So that's from the CDC, and that right there sounds pretty damn urgent to me, that we should be paying more closer attention to what's going on and protect ourselves the best we possibly can.
Yeah, no, and I think I would agree with that. That we got to use common sense and protect ourselves. I have some questions about and a little bit on the conspiratorial train. I'm not going to lie, but it's really the conspiratorial side of it that was in the beginning. People said you're wearing a tinfoil hat. Now it's starting to. There were signs. I mean, there was I believe a biological professor or something in Canada that was from that was arrested or was caught smuggling stuff out. Then you have in Wuhan, and this is recapping, obviously, a lot of people already know this. In Wuhan, where this broke out, there's a biomed lab there that happened that right in the very city where this all broke out from. I do think that China has been suppressing what's been going on with it, and I think that there's a lot of people like Marfugel. They've been covering this a lot. That was suppressed. There was a lot of information suppressed coming out of China. We all know that of course is going to happen. But I just find it suspicious when you got Bill Gates' fingerprints all over this, and it's almost like it is some sort of not just a naturally occurring event that got released, but on the same side to where I get a little bit like thinking it's weird is that we're freaking so much out about this. It's killed a couple thousand people, right? When the regular flu kills 70 to 80,000 people a year, and we don't freaking panic on that. So I still don't fully understand what the motive is behind pushing this fear so much. So what about you, Joe? Do you have some thoughts on this?
Well, when this first came out, ever since this has actually been happening, I've only ever done one video on this entire thing. And the one video I did was just compelling because it was a video of a supposedly a nurse over there in Wuhan who went out on, I can't remember what platform it was, but basically in an audio message warning all of our friends and family and anybody who would listen that it was much worse than the government had come out and said. She said that they were working 24-hour shifts. They just could not keep up with the flow of bodies and this and that and the other. And the government was pretty much telling them they're on their own. Now, I don't trust our government, let alone the Chinese government. So when something like this happens, when Trump comes out and says, we got this under control, it's like when he says the southern border is secure. I'm not stupid. I can see with my eyes the southern border is obviously not secure. And so I don't take any real weight to the idea that this is anywhere controlled or contained. I have no idea. I haven't really been touching it because I just can't trust any of the sources of information that are coming forth with information. So I don't want to get bogged down in all of my time coming up with theory after theory after theory and just turning myself around 100 different ways trying to figure out what's truth, because eventually the truth is going to come out. Eventually. And, you know, I'm just going to wait for that. I'm going to focus on what I focus on, Second Amendment, election coverage, and that sort of stuff. This right here is not really something I even talk about.
No. And I think, you know, part of the thing that we're going to really find out soon is now that it's out of the Chinese control, if you will, you know, we're going to be able to really kind of hear from these other countries, especially here in the US. Not that I trust our media coverage, but at least it's going to be a whole lot harder to keep under wraps if something crazy is going on with it, to where we're going to be able to kind of see really what it's all about. But I agree with you. I think there's something, to me, there's something funny with this whole thing and tying it into the Trump thing. Like I said, I heard people talking about how, you know, if the economy completely crashes, then that's going to really hurt Trump. Even if it's the coronavirus, you know, it's due to the coronavirus, it's really going to cause the Democrats are going to use that as a pushing point on Trump for some God knows he colluded with the frickin' Chinese or something. God knows what. Jennifer, have you been following this subject much?
Actually, I have been reporting about it since before the mainstream media started reporting about this. So from what I have read, the first initial case actually can be traced all the way back to May. They shut down a village back in May. There was a few people that died from it, but they got it under control. And then we didn't hear anything else from it until about October, November. And there was a doctor that was in his chat, and just with his tech friends or whatever, and he posted it on Twitter about there being this case going. It's a different doctor than Dr. Lee. A lot of people don't know about this one. And he posted, it was just a tweet, one of those long threaded tweets. And he was saying, you know, there's something going on with this, and kind of trying to get other people's advice on it, you know, from the States and it got deleted about 45 minutes later. And so this tech site ends up putting it on their board, and they were like, what kind of stuff, but it seemed weird. And that's when, you know, things started really kind of happening. And that's why to us, it seems like, you know, for an outside, it's like, whoa, they just went into quarantine from no reason, but not really. They knew about it for months prior.
Yeah.
Let's just even say weeks. But, and that's really what occurred.
Yeah. No, I know. I heard a lot about that, and then they were shutting it down. They were, you know, just shutting the door on that, like China loves to do. You know, it's really hard to tell anything that's coming out of there that what is the truth, which is kind of alarming. And then you hear people saying that they're dropping dead in the streets and whatnot, but I don't know how much of this is. This is the thing, kind of like what Joe said. We don't know what we don't know. I mean, I want to pass it over there to Mike too. Right. Mike, tell me, have you been following this much, or have any thoughts kind of regarding this?
I did maybe a couple of videos on it early on. I did a little bit of research. As much as I got into, I saw the some of the same names behind the SARS push, what I call the SARS dud, because they said the same thing back then, that it was going to swarm the world. I mean, I know it's hard to believe, from the CDC all the way to you know, they like to create chaos and then give solutions. So there are some things coming up with it. The Senate's set to receive a classified briefing, and on Tuesday, I believe, to get some emergency aid. Trump's pushing, they're asking Congress for emergency aid funding because it has spread to South Korea, Iran, Italy. So it's going to be interesting to keep an eye on it, but I'm not sure what to think.
I don't know if I don't know if I'm really going way too far out on a conspiratorial bender here, but I'm just going to throw it out there. I mean, if this was a biological warfare, right? Why would, number one, China do it to their own people? So could it have been another state player that let that go in China to disrupt, to disrupt their economy and, give us maybe an upper hand in the tariffs? But also, could it have been, and this is going to be, I'm just going to throw it out there, could this have been something to disrupt what's coming up in November? I mean, literally to just cause a worldwide panic as a distraction and or to cause chaos surrounding the upcoming election, in November. I mean, I'm just throwing it out there, trying to, get an idea. Yeah, exactly.
Financial crisis.
Right.
I know with China being down and lots of the world marketing, I even know things local in my area that are affected with China not taking or receiving anything. Orders are down. I'm in the RV headquarters of the world in this area, so there's a lot of RVs and parts that come from overseas, and so it could be a financial hiccup of sorts to start something more major. But who was saying something about the stock market?
That was Douglas at first, and that's there was this article here. Let me pull it up.
The Dow dropped 1,000 points today on the coronavirus.
Yeah, 1,000 points. See.
Yeah. It says here, this article I'll read for this. It says the Dow Industrial Average plummeted more than 1,000 points on Monday as the number of coronavirus cases outside of China surged, sparking fears of protracted economic slowdown. The Dow closed at 1,031 points lower, or 3.6%, at 27,960, which is still damn good. Let's be real. While the S&P dropped 500 or 3% to 3225. The Nasdaq Composite 370 or 3.1%. 3.7% lower at 922. It says billionaire investor Warren Buffett warned, and anything coming out of Buffett's mouth, I'm already a little suspicious of. But Buffett warned a very significant percentage of our business one way are affected. But he reiterated the investors should be more focused on the long term. If you're buying a business, and that's what stocks are, you're going to own it for 10 to 20 years. The real question is, how has the 10-year or 20-year outlook for American business changed in the last 24 to 48 hours? The outbreak of the coronavirus, which causes the COVID-19 disease, has impacted manufacturing and business in China, triggering global supply chain slowdowns that started in January. On Monday, several analysts had predictions of uncertainty. There remains a large degree of uncertainty surrounding the virus, and no one knows how this will ultimately play out, said Keith Lerner, chief market strategist at SunTrust Advisory, in an interview with CNBC. With stock prices and valuations still near cycle highs, the risk of a worsening virus outbreak has not been priced into the market to a great extent. Fears of a secondary infection proliferating outside of China have come home to roost, sending risk assets into tailspins and waves of refugees seeking into safe haven. Tokyo-based Mizuho Bank also said in a commentary, according to the New York Post. So I'm not going to read the whole article, but yeah, definitely something that is causing a little bit of waves right now with our financial markets, and it'll be interesting to follow this through. But I do think we should be aware of it, because I know I was a little dismissive of it. I think we should be cautiously aware of it, keeping an eye on it. And really, like I said, when this disease gets out of the Iron Curtain of China, then we're going to be able to actually see how dangerous and bad it really is. I will add one other interesting point to this that I touched on earlier in some videos I did with this about, a few weeks back, is that they said, one thing I found alarming was there was some scientists, and I want to say they were in India, that were studying, it could have been somewhere else, but I think it was India, that were studying the virus, and they noticed that it had markers for HIV in it. And the only way that could be put in there is if it was a manufactured virus. It isn't going to mutate into having markers of HIV in it. So they were noticing this. And this article, when it got put out on by Zero Hedge, it got put out on Twitter, I believe it was. They shut Twitter. They shut it. I believe it was that article that they shut Zero Hedge down with, or took them off of Twitter or somewhere else. And so I thought that's just conspiratory talk. It doesn't have HIV mixed in with it. Well, then mainstream media sources were putting out that some ways they were treating this disease, or this virus, was with HIV medications they were seeing that were actually working against it. So it kind of makes you wonder if this was a planned thing, and some sort of a attack, some sort of a clandestine sort of deal. I kind of feel like I believe that is more the case than the whole bat soup thing. But again, you don't probably want to eat anything out of the Chinese markets. And that's not me being racist. That's just me being a realist. You know what I'm saying? Because
someone in my chat room over here, Steven, said, what if this was something, or one of the effects of this, planned effects of this, was to try to crash the market ahead of the election in 2020.
Yeah,
that would be interesting. I mean, that seems like a lot of trouble to go through to try to crash a market. It seems like there could be other ways we could do this. I don't know.
Well, this is good because it has plausible deniability mixed into it. And, when you look at what some other interesting points I touched on in earlier videos, and I always think everyone knows this, but maybe you don't know this. In October at Johns Hopkins University in New York City, they ran a drill on this. They were with, and some of the interesting participants in that was some people from China, the Bill Gates, the CDC or DHS. They ran this at the Johns Hopkins University, and you can look it up, Google it. In October, they ran a mock-up of what would happen with the pandemic and how we would respond globally. And the virus that they used for that mock-up was the coronavirus. Then a few weeks later, I would say middle of December, you have a brand new documentary that gets released on Netflix. And the first episode of that documentary, which is talking about pandemics and how people respond to it. And it had, again, Bill Gates was in it and some of these other people were in it. And again, they're talking about the coronavirus. And then all of a sudden in January, boom, the coronavirus hits the mainstream. Like Jennifer said, it'd been around longer than that, but then it hits the mainstream and everyone's talking about it. Oh, the coronavirus, we got to worry about it. All of that, taking into account, some of the people that were arrested in Canada that were smuggling stuff out of some of these universities, biological stuff that was tied back to China. It makes you kind of wonder what the hell's going on. You said you're going to say something?
Well, I can tell you essentially all of the stuff that I have received. The information that I know of, and also I was an RN in the emergency room, so I could tell you from multiple different ways that coronavirus is just one. There's multiple coronaviruses. It's like the flu. There's a different strand. I'm sure everybody already knows that by now. Different strand. Coronavirus has been around since the 60s, but this strain is different, obviously. But in the 80s or 90s, there was a company called BioRad, and they were connected to Immunex out of Southern California, more like Hercules, California. And they are connected to a lot of people that have had their hands in things as much as the Iran-Contra, Pan Am flight, the situation, pretty much everything. And Danny Casolaro wrote a book about this, and then he was murdered. It was called The Octopus and then The Last Circle. And this is exactly what he's saying. Like with the when you were talking about the thing about HIV, what it does is it affects your T cells. And that's exactly what they were studying. And that's why when they use the medicine, it's because it is making their T cells elevated to where they can identify it and actually take it. And then we have the company that supposedly made this vaccine within 3 hours of getting the DNA sequencing of it. That's Innovo, but they used to be owned by Immunex, which was all connected to the same company, connected. And so I can't, and I won't say that anybody's connected, any one government is connected to it, because it seems it's technically a civilian company. So it could very well have been China, it could have been ours, it could have been Canada, but all of these things definitely seemed definitely to have originated from these places. Yeah. And I believe that they have a threefold situation. I believe that this virus is actually happening, but then again, I believe that they are showing us very strange videos that don't make any sense to make people freak out, and then so they can do a multifaceted situation. You know, they've got martial law going on, so they can do whatever in that country. Oh, hey, we want to get rid of, if it's here, the guns, like I don't, and I don't want to be narcissistic, but in whatever country to do whatever, an entire globalist situation.
Yeah. It gives them the opportunity to roll out some nefarious authoritarian, like you said, some military type police actions on their public. So let's segue to a different topic on this one. I don't know. Robert, Mike, you good, or did you have some thoughts, Robert?
I'll just say real quick.
I just said my joke was that it wouldn't last long because it was made in China.
That's true. That's a good point, Robert.
That's what I had said early on, but it's still around, so I was wrong.
I could talk about this
somewhere else. It was made somewhere else.
But
okay, Robert,
I could talk about anything for hours, so it doesn't matter. I'll just say real quick. Wouldn't it be nice to have a media and a government we could trust, so we could actually get information on it?
Yeah.
Instead, we're random people trying to dig for what we can. Our government can't run an Iowa caucus, so if you think they could keep you safe from a super pandemic, you probably have another thing coming. So,
right, or if they can say they can't even stop a pandemic, but we're going to stop global warming. Yeah.
By the way, imagine if this virus was from Russia. Can you imagine the media hype on that story? Putin's helping Trump by unleashing disease all over the world, but it's China. All the Democrats get rich in China, so they, the Chinese government, they're doing okay. It's just a joke. You can't trust anything these people say. I don't know what the truth behind it is, but that's my take on it.
All right, here I really wanted to say,
SJG. If it was real, I saw a lot of stories about them, stopping people on cruise ships and detaining them, or and then releasing them in California. Then they're like, oh, we got mixed up results. The person that we released actually was infected, and I just saw a lot of errors on a lot of scales for if it was some major catastrophe that was going to unleash that. There was a whole bunch of stuff wrong. What do they do every day or for the year? They're supposedly training, running drills, and shutting things down. But man, this was a complete disaster on that level.
Yeah. No, I know. And the whole thing, it gives a perfect segue to like the anti-vax, crew that doesn't necessarily believe in massive vaccinations of your family and your life, and which I'm part of. I mean, I'm not saying there's not some vaccines that you shouldn't take, but I'm not a big vaxxer. And so it automatically pushes that. And anytime Bill Gates is involved with anything in forefront, you got to ask questions, because that guy does not want to populate the world. He's on record saying he wants to depopulate the world. He's not some golden boy. He's a piece of, you know what I'm saying. I know we got some believers and Christians in here, so I won't swear, but you know what I'm thinking. You mean what I know. That guy is not a good guy. So anytime his name's attached to something, I have questions. But okay, I know we could talk about this for a while. I want to segue on to,
one thing that I think probably everybody will find interesting if you haven't heard it already. So Corona means crown, right? And we know China as in the red dragon, the dragon country. And if you look at Revelation 12, and when you're speaking of all the pestilence and all of these things, it fits quite well with that. But I won't be doomsday, but it definitely fits.
Yeah. Well, if this doesn't get us China, something's going to come out of China that will. Those suckers, you can't trust them. Anyways, let's segue into this. Dustin, if you could pull up this segment. Oh yeah, you got me there, so I'll just switch to this. And we'll leave this up as I talk over it here. This is something that I thought was really interesting, which maybe you guys are all aware of. I didn't understand really what this whole public charge was. I did a little bit, but I was reading up on it today. And I thought this would spur a good conversation, because it is the most common sense thing that we should have done a long time ago. And now the left is acting like this is the cruelest thing in the world that we could do. Let me read this quick article and then let's talk about it. It says, Trump administration starts enforcing public charge immigration rule. The Trump administration on Monday started enforcing a new income-based requirements for green cards and certain types of visas, coming days after the Supreme Court ruled in favor of the measure. Under the new rule, most green card applicants in the United States and abroad will now have to be evaluated under a new set of guidelines to determine whether there'll be a public charge. The rule is expected to affect millions and might force numerous immigrants to stop using public welfare programs. Oh, boo-hoo. Including supplemental security income, assistance from the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families program, Medicare, and other programs. The Department of Homeland Security, DHS, said it will also look into immigrants' age, health, family status, assets, research, financial status, education, skills, and other factors. President Trump continues to deliver on his promise to the American people to enforce our nation's immigration laws. Well, he could do a little better, though. Let's all be real here, but he's moving the ball down the field. I'll give him that. After several judicial victories, DHS will finally begin implementing the inadmissibility on public charge grounds final rule, said Ken Guccianelli. Guys, I think I hammered that. Anyway, the acting Deputy Secretary of Homeland Security, this rule enforces longstanding laws requiring aliens to be self-sufficient, reaffirming American ideals of hard work, perseverance, and determination. It also offers clarity and expectation to aliens considering a life in the United States and will help protect our public benefit programs. Okay, so the rest goes on. We don't have to read the rest of that right now. But then it goes on to say how the left is coming out and they're saying this is the cruelest thing in the world. And I'm asking myself, we're just basically saying if you're going to come here like any other nation in the world, man, you go to Panama, you expatriate to Panama or somewhere down there, they expect you to put a bunch of money in the bank and be able to bring something to their economy, not come down to their economy. Not to say that's much of an economy, but my point is that you can't just come down there and leech off the system. So Trump's finally saying, hey, we're going to enforce this, that if you're going to come to our country, we're not going to pay for you to be here. You're going to give back, pay your taxes, and be a functioning part of the society. And the left is losing their shiznit over this. I want to go to American Joe on this one, because this is something right up his alley. I want to get a couple thoughts from you. American Joe.
Well, thanks, buddy. My mama did name me American Joe. Thank you. Yeah, so let me tell you the type of people these Democrats are, these dirty Democrats. There was someone on TV just the other day who's a Democrat, and she said that the reason why the voter turnout in Iowa happened the way it did, so many white folks came out to vote, is because we don't have white kids locked up in cages. So this is the people we're dealing with. They don't deal with a sane thought process. Their worldview is completely skewed, and they're looking towards these people coming over this border as not just the next voters that are going to vote for the Democrat Party, but actually the leadership of the Democrat Party. That's what they're looking for. So We're talking about a Democrat Party that has completely embraced the idea of socialism, communism. It's all the same garbage. And for those in the Democrat Party who are resisting this idea, well, their time is going to come. Their time is going to come. As a matter of fact, the younger Democrats are already talking about setting up primaries against these people that are moderates, that are centrist, that are the sanest of the bunch, which is not saying a whole lot because they're insane as well, but the saner of the bunch. So the writing's on the wall for these guys. These are the people we're dealing with. This should not surprise anybody. Trump, once again, is not only delivered on a campaign promise, but he's doing what the vast majority of real Americans want him to do, which is get the leeches off of our system. And that's just one tiny step, but he's taken it, and it's an important one.
One tiny step for the U.S. kind, giant leap. Never mind. Okay. Anyways, Douglas, what about you? Talk loud too. What do you got on this? Ooh, you're gonna have to talk louder.
Ooh,
you're muted.
We can't hear you at all now.
Can't hear you,
Can we
Doug.
get a sign language specialist?
We can't hear you. No. Okay, no, we cannot. We can read your lips.
Trump did good. Thumbs up.
Yell like it's a Democrat.
Trump did good.
Yeah.
Okay. Robert,
I'll
you
talk
give me
for
a
him.
thought on this one. Oh, okay. Well, I'll come up to you, Mike. Let's get Robert real quick and then come to you.
Oh,
Go ahead,
first?
Robert.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Doug would have had better stuff to say than me, but I'll try my best. Yeah, I mean, first off, just real quick with the coronavirus.
We need to hang on a second. Hey, Doug, we're going to have to ask you to do some interpretive dance for us when he does this. Is that okay? Can we?
Okay. I could even make it rhythmic if you want. Tie this into the coronavirus, right?
Go back.
Dustin's have none of it. He comes just me. Yeah. Right. Like they want open borders. I'm sure that'll work well. Yeah. Let's just leave anyone. We don't, it's immoral to check them at the border if they have any sort of illness. And we can see that even at the southern border, cases of serious diseases have been coming back. Heck, they're talking about the bubonic plague coming back in LA. I mean, it's insanity. What this speaks of generally, though, I just want to talk about the morality of it. It is not moral to want the government to take money from one group of people and give it to another group of people. That is not morality. Morality would be you use your own wealth without the threat of force forcing you to do something and give your own wealth to those that you find needy. So when Bernie Sanders and the rest of these socialists decide that they're going to sell their second and third lake houses and then provide for the welfare of illegal immigrants, or I don't know, how about veterans that served this country and actually did something? How many of them are suffering without proper health care? But they don't care about any of that, do they? They just want to take money. Anyone who makes $1 more than Bernie Sanders is immoral. Remember, he used to say millionaires and billionaires are immoral, but now he's a millionaire. So now he changed it to billionaires. And it's just like Orwell said all these years ago in the book, The Road to Wigan Pier. These socialists, it's not that they like the poor, in this case, the illegal immigrants with the public charge stuff. It's that they hate those that are more successful than them. That's what it is. They hate the idea of personal responsibility and personal liberty, which is what this country was founded on, because they can't achieve if they have to go out and achieve personally. So they blame someone else, and they blame the wealthy, and they blame the idea of personal responsibility. So yeah, this is a great idea. Obviously, I think the whole panel will agree. They talk about, well, what about the National Healthcare Service? Bernie talks about all these other countries in Europe have National Healthcare Service and universal coverage. They all also have border control as well. They all also make sure that the immigrants that are coming in aren't a drain on their society. I hope Doug's not saying my comments are that.
I think Antifa's attacking Doug over there.
Doug. That was great.
Interpretive, Dan. That was great. I think what he was basically is putting an exclamation on what you said. That's how it makes him feel. Both his microphone situation and this illegal immigration situation. I think that's what his dance, his interpretive choking, throttling meant. Mike, why don't you say a couple things on this, and we're going to go to Jennifer.
Doug, you're welcome to come over if you need a mic.
Socialism, communism. Nobody likes it because everybody likes to own stuff.
Right.
You know, it's a society where people pretend to work and they pretend to pay. It's a complete, utter. Comrade Bernie will not win. I'll put it that way. I know they're having a great little time, a little race around. We can't let up. Everyone's got to show up and vote, of course. Yeah. But their numbers are really small, even though they're fighting for this and that. What they're getting, what they're not showing is Trump's just out, beating them in most of all these states already. I have no doubt everything we've seen, the bigger picture to all this is everyone's a little bit more awake than they were in the last election. And Trump's relentless tweeting has basically woke up a lot of people. There's been a lot of things to wake up a lot of people. That's the bigger thing, and actually make people tune out and say, I'm going to my voting. I don't know how many people on my channel have said that they're registered now. They're actually down at the working at this November, which is just awesome, because that's what we need. We need real people doing some real things, like us going down to Richmond and standing up for those causes. It's just real life things actually matter. So
yeah. No, and we can't, like you said, we can't. Yes, it does. We can't, and not in a good way.
It never comes in the form of that, by the way, folks. Does everyone know that? Yeah. They never call it communism. This whole, I can't even believe they're saying democratic socialism. That's pretty close.
Well, who did Bernie just come out and was it? Dang it, I can't think. Was it Castro or whatever that he just came out and praised? He would say he wasn't all bad.
We can't put all the blame on him.
Right. We can't put all the blame on him. So no, we definitely can't let up for sure. We definitely got to keep pushing. But I definitely think it's going to be a landslide. It was funny, and then I'm going to get to you, Jennifer. But he said one thing. Bernie was at a rally, and he had basically one section, maybe a half a section of what one of Trump's stadiums is, and he's like, "Man, this is such a good crowd. I can't believe the size of this crowd," because they're normally used to speaking to people in cafeterias, on the lunch special, and so that's all they get when Trump is blowing out stadiums and having, can't even fit everybody inside. It's not even going to be, I don't think it's even going to be close, but we can't let up. But Jennifer, what is, do you have any thing to add to all of our, to maybe what Doug said or anything else?
What's your thoughts on Doug's?
Okay, well, I have. Are we just talking about the situation? Because I think that's just a hot mess. That what I don't know. But whenever since people are talking about, let's talk about November. Here's a question that I want everybody to think about. What we in the last 3 years is nothing short of our country falling apart. Mm-hmm. And there is one main thing, and this has been going on for decades, but I think there's one main thing that we have let slip from that is creating this, and that is our 9th and 10th Amendments. Our states and our local governments should be our most important situation. But what's going on is we're acting like those don't even exist. And it's like, oh, for president, honestly, who cares? I'm not saying who cares, but in the grand scheme of things, when our founding fathers wrote the Constitution for the lowest possible, what we do here in Louisiana is sure the heck not what people do in California. If they want to have all kinds of illegal people live, because they're not getting federal money, I mean, okay, whatever. I'm not okay with it, but at the point, and then it's like, well, if we want to abolish abortion, then you can't say anything to us. You see what I'm saying? Like, yeah, right. That's just going to happen. That's why we have our state rights, right? And we've given all our power to the federal government.
Yeah, no, I'd like to touch real quick that goes to do with the reason we even have a DC is to deal with our foreign issues. That's the only reason that we have DC. All the states are part of the union, and then we have DC, which represents us outwardly, and to deal with like illegals or the border issues. So you can't have California be a sanctuary city, because how do you get illegals there? They have to travel through other states or I don't know if it's a bordering state, but that is a federal issue. Is the states can't deal with illegal immigration, and they can't be sanctuary cities. So that's where the federal government comes in. But I'm with the states having more rights as well. So backing off of everything we got. I mean, there's lots of issues with that, but I'm with that as well. But certain things.
Yeah. Just real quick, the thing is, we need a strong federal presence to end the corruption. Right. The problem is we have this corruption that we talk about all the time. And as long as that corruption's there, they'll take away our voice at the local level. And the other thing is, though, Jennifer, you're totally right. Not only should your local government in the world of the founding fathers have more impact on your life than the state government, then finally the federal government. But go back. I talked to Dustin, our producer, about this a lot. Go back to what Andrew Breitbart said. Politics is downstream of culture. Republicans are worried about winning the next presidential election. The establishment Democrats are worried about changing our schools into indoctrination facilities so that they can overthrow this country for 50 years in the future. They're worried about importing new people that they know will be faithful, reliable stooges to the establishment Democrat through illegal immigration and things like that. So, yeah, we need to do what we can as individuals at the cultural level, at the personal level, at the local level to be able to fight back against this.
Right. Yeah.
Can I say something, Steve?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We need to go from bottom up instead of trying to think from top down.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
I think one of the reasons why Trump is such a threat to Washington and why Washington's losing their minds is because, the Democrats, and this may be because, he was a Democrat, I don't know, but the Democrats have always been good at playing long-term strategies. The whole professor thing, liberal institution thing, that whole thing, that's been going on for decades and decades and decades. That is and they're now seeing the fruits of all of those efforts of making all these liberal professors, filling up all these colleges all across the country. And now you're going to try really hard to find any college that's not a liberal indoctrination camp. Right. And they're going to shape the minds and thoughts of the adults for many, many generations to come. And they know that. So they're playing the long game. But here comes Trump, who starts to reshape the court system across this country. Again, one that the Democrats have been playing long for a very long time. But very few Republican presidents come along and play the long game. They always play the now game. You know, do I control the House and the Senate? Yeah, but what are you doing with that power long term? See, if Trump is a one-term president, we still have a Supreme Court that is going to do very well for the next 30 years. And he's well over 200 lower court justices, I believe, that have been appointed now. He's reshaped liberal courts all across the country. So he's playing a game of long-term strategy. And I think that's why he's such a big threat. And that's why everybody's freaking out about getting out of office.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I don't think enough people are talking about that. And somebody said earlier, you know, I was waiting for him to put a sign, "I'm here in spirit only." Well, we appreciate that, Doug.
That's good. That's real good.
That is a hefty looking spirit.
I got something to add real quick, SJG. Mike Pompeo, I think it was last week, and people got their different thoughts on him. But this was really interesting. I got a clip of it up. I had put up. But I'll put it this way. He had went, you know, State Department. He's the head of the State Department now. So that works with all the individual states on federal level. And he had said that, you know, before he came to the State Department, we know that he was put over to the CIA. So he ran that for a minute. And he had said that, you know, a list came into all the state governors of every state, inviting them to this Chinese thing. And he goes, now, me being the head of the CIA before this, I had the privy to know that this company was actually the communistic of China, and they had this front name. And he went on to talk about, now I wonder how many of all you governors knew that. And there was deals. He was talking about that. Pompeo said that these people over there gave him a list, and he didn't know if payments came into certain people. We know states have been selling out. You know, we talk about we want states to have more power, but a lot of the people in play in the states are crookeder than all get out. I know my state here, they sold the toll road going from, you know, Illinois over to Ohio. It's not sold, it's rented for the next 89 years, my whole lifetime, to China or to some foreign country. So basically, it looked like they have a huge list, and certain governors have taken payments and sold out their states in certain aspects or certain portions of things. It's not looking good. For the corruption level of it. And that's what I really focus on anyways, the corruption. I believe Trump's just, like he finally said, because I've been saying it for him for about 5 months, is he's process for the history books. They make up so much stuff on Trump for the last 3 years and none of it sticks, that if he did break the law and did something true, they would hammer it to him. And we know he'd go down for it, because the fake stuff he can't go down for, but the real stuff he would. So I believe it's just we're down to these last couple of people, Durham and Barr, and if they don't do the right thing, then from Trump's own words, it's almost like I can jump in at any minute. I can do it. But I'm sitting here waiting. Who's going to stop the coup? So everyone's got to ask themselves. I always say it. Do you believe there's a coup? Well, yeah, there's people out to get Trump and wanting them to. I mean, if you don't believe in all the text from Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, all the FBI, I know people are waiting on arrest, but check it out. Arrests are easy. Destroying these institutions of lies are much harder, and showing it to the public. That's what has to happen. So he's doing process and planning. The history books will dictate that. You were already seeing a little bit with why is Giuliani over in the Ukraine? He's supposed to go to the DOJ. Well, we don't know that the DOJ didn't hire Giuliani after the DOJ refused. Because if you listen to Trump, he'll go back and say, we did put paperwork in a year and a half ago. It keeps ending up in the trash. Nobody's doing anything. So the people that scream the loudest that he's using Giuliani are the ones that want him to go through the process, the typical process that we're used to for things to get thrown in the trash. But this is a coup against the president. So it's going to be a little different. It's going to be a little elevated. There's some elevation going on. I don't think everyone can see that.
I want to open up the phone lines here. So anybody who wants to call in, I don't know, or Dustin, if we got anybody calling in. You know, one thing, it kind of ties into what we're talking about a little bit, but it's a little off track. But somebody mentioned the Twitter thing. You know, Trump's tweeting all the time, and people are like, we wish he wouldn't tweet so much. That's his only way for him to get his voice out there, you know, uninterrupted, unmolested. Now, I'm not saying all his tweets are perfect or whatever, but I support him being able to just tweet his little heart away, because there's nobody giving him a fair shake, man. There's only a handful of actual, journalists that are like, give him a fair shake on anything. Fox and everybody else nowadays is getting freaking left leaning. It's crazy.
They all got put to the record of Congress, all his tweets. Yeah. The other option could have been a private server at a home in New York that got hit with a sledgehammer and nothing turned over. I don't know.
Right.
It's your other option.
Yeah. So we'll open up the, you agree? Do you agree, Doug? Doug, your thoughts.
Nice. Doug says more with one thumb than I can say in a half hour of rambling. Yeah.
He's got to have a card for okay and yes or no.
Well, at least he kept his shirt on. That's good.
Do you have anything to add to that too? And we've been having some difficulties, Jennifer. I haven't interrupted and told you, but you're some syllables are cutting out. I know there's nothing we can do about it, so we're doing our best, and we get the most of what you're saying, but you do cut out a little bit. But do you have anything to add to that? I'm trying to make sure everyone gets a fair shake here of thoughts.
Honestly, I believe that DC is so corrupt. There's nothing any president can do at this point. And our only hope is to work bottom up. I know that, yes, but the is we can say.
You're cutting out. We're having a hard time catching what you're saying.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a device called a constitutional convention. Okay.
What these people are doing. Am I freezing?
You are a little bit. You're dropping frames, or you're kind of. You sound like.
If you're watching,
can you hear me now?
If you're watching the video on SJG's channel, to close out of all of that stuff, that might help you out a little.
There can be only one.
Yeah. I'm coming for you, Joe. I'm sticking around till the end. I'm not going to lag out.
I am very skilled with the katana, just so you know.
I mean, there's been a lot of people removed. There's been a lot of people removed from these agencies, right? I mean, that's one thing. A lot of people are like, yeah, but I want to rest. That's the only amount of justice. I will put it to you this way. I have a local legion here where we had corruption going on, and the lady never really got charged. She stole over $100,000 from us. We got reimbursed from our insurance. She's out of the Legion, but justice never prevailed. But the way I put it is, at least they're no longer there stealing from the kitty. We're actually prosperous again and gaining again. So there's positives and everything. Yes, a lot of people wanted jail time for this particular person, and it doesn't look like that's going to happen. But justice is in many different levels, I guess.
Yeah. All right, let's open up the phone lines. Dustin, do we got anybody on the phone?
All right. We've got, let's see, DC from Ohio.
DC from Ohio.
I love Ohio.
DC, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
DC.
Have you got me?
Oh, perfect. Yeah, we got you, man. Thanks for joining the Patriot panel tonight. What's on your mind, man?
I don't know what kind of time limit you guys got. I'll try to make this as quick as I can. A little bit about myself. I'm a 54-year-old Ohio boy. Been into bushcraft. Spent 11 years in the Brown County Militia of Ohio. We actually were taught the original classroom taught as adults the Constitution, so we wouldn't forget it. Anyway, it's a strong point with us boys here in Ohio, even though my wife and I were going to wind up selling our place, moving to our cabin in Kentucky for different reasons. We got a new grandbaby, and we're going to go down there because things are getting a little crazy here. Anyhow, boys, I wanted to ask you this. First, I have to comment on this. I was on Joe's site last week, I think it was, and that little quote he had up from Mike at the Patriot Hour. What was it? Bernie Sanders was up. Let's see. Well, how did it go? An 80-year-old socialist with a gay guy and a fake Indian. Oh my God, that was so funny. But
you have Biden losing to an 80-year-old socialist and a fake Indian and a gay soldier. He's getting beat literally like a drum by the
Absolutely,
YMCA.
boys. I just want to.
A fake Indian drum, yes.
I just wanted to express this concern. It seems to me nobody's saying it these days. And you military boys, I wish you'd get on a little bit more as far as this. And this is what I mean. Understand what Washington, D.C. is. Not only is it a cesspool of shit, but understand that the D.C. is the District of Columbia. And you notice how our president stands in front of a gold-fringed flag? Look at the Oval Office, gold border on that flag, boys. Now, I don't know what you think that represents.
Admiralty
but
law.
I can assure you that is an admiralty law. That is guilty until proven innocent. And, you know, I got to tell you, I couldn't vote for Trump. When I went to vote for Trump last year, they told me I had to have voted 2 weeks prior to me voting. So I didn't get to vote for him, but I would have. Now, I'm not saying I don't like the guy. I do. I will say that he's done the most I've seen in my lifetime as a president. Right. Because, however, you know, the people that surround this man, and again, I'm just going to go ahead and say it, boys. You've heard of the military-industrial complex. Mm-hmm. Well, do you honestly think, for 1 second, if foreign governments, when our Congress and our Senate is convened in Washington, D.C., they are paid by foreign money. Understand that right now. When they come back to their municipalities, Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, North Carolina, wherever the hell they come, yeah, they're back to taking your U.S. tax dollars. They're fundraising money, but they are paid by foreign governments. Do you honestly think for 1 second they are up to any good? So, yeah. Joe, I've heard y'all say these damn liberals, Democrats, blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? This is what we need. We need unity right now for the patriots, the true patriots of this country. Okay? That what you're seeing today, these liberals and shit, they're not Democrats anymore. They've done change. They're out. The true Democrat Party, I know some Democrats. They're some good old boys. The end game is the same for us and them. What you're seeing today, the Democrats, they're no longer Democrats. They're socialist, communists, everything but what Democrats used to be. And you touched on it a little bit with the schools. Shit, most of them are being taught this in schools. The college books, they're rewriting medical books, law books. Everything is being rewritten, and it has been. We've got to start uniting under that damn flag that don't have that gold trim on it, because as long as that occupies the court systems and you think they're safe, because we're all Republicans and a Republican president now, you think that saves us? Well, let me tell you something. Yeah. I would like, this is just a question, Joe. Mike, you got military experience, correct?
Yes.
I got a delay. I'm watching the TV with the sound down while I'm on the phone. There's a little seconds delay, but I just challenge you to do this. Yeah. This is what I want you to do. Look up how many military bases the United States has in other countries. But understand, the number you see is not military bases that we are currently at war with. And as long as we have a Council on Foreign Relations Committee in this country, oh my God. The CFR administration in 1987 admitted publicly in 3 different magazines that they had to rid the world's population 75% by the year 2030. And they stated the 3 ways they would do it. And that is through wars, pestilence, and famine. But, you know, for some reason, everybody, even people that go, oh, I'm a real militiaman, they don't know shit about history. They don't want to dig in some books. I've spent like 15 years of research myself, hardcore stuff. And when I said 1987, forgive me, because it might be 86 or 7, because all my research is locked up in a safe. I don't have it in front of me. Pages and pages, and it's just I just wish that if we're going to get the word out there and try to unite as a patriot group, of course, myself, I'm good. I've got access to 300 plus men at any time, but that doesn't save the planet.
No,
and Republicans are not going to save the planet. What it's going to take is a united front of true patriots, Democrat, old Democrat Party, and Republicans, your hunters, your trappers, your bushcraft. And I'm going to tell you, bushcraft's the way. You better be getting into some bushcraft nowadays. Because, see, they send these boys over there, and we talk all this gun crap we got going right now. And did you ever notice every time we start making a stand against a Second Amendment stand, something large and global happens? Now we've got the coronavirus. There's been a lot going on, people standing up for their Second Amendment rights. Guess what? I just watched the show. It was on national TV last week. They mapped the genomes down. They said publicly they could see that was created. There was 3 modifications done to it. Well, I don't know if they let that cat out of the bag on purpose or if it was a mistake, but that's what they said. Well, I mean, geez, it's not a secret what they're doing. But anyhow, look, I'm going to get off here. You guys kind of look like I'm one of those kooks, so I'm going to go ahead and just go ahead and get
it's
off
all
here.
good.
I wanted to get it out
Hey,
there.
we appreciate.
I don't think nobody's taking it.
We appreciate the call in. We appreciate the call in, DC. We'll comment a few on that and take another call. But I agree with you. The Council on Foreign Relations, the Bilderbergs, some of these big think tanks that have been around forever and all the establishment's been involved in is what's causing us to get into these wars and whatnot. And I do believe one of the things I think they hate so much about Trump is that he's never been part of that CFR. He's never been part of that Bilderberger. He's never been a really
hang on. He told you in the beginning when he was campaigning, I used to run with these people. I know who they are. He said that on TV.
Yeah.
This is my point. When we go into a country and we put a military base up, and I'm not down in our military at all. I will support the military man in the field for his country any day of the week. That's my brother in arms. He's the one that's securing my freedoms. I get it, man. I'm not stupid. However, there's a certain little brainwashing goes on when you are a government-owned man at the time.
Yeah.
That is, let me give you an example. The Iraq War. We had guys in our groups that were talking about this. When the cameras would come panning around, they would take their Velcroed UN badge, pull it off, and slap an American flag on it. You know what? I'm not anything UN. There's nothing UN in me. All right, look. All right, man. I'll quit boring you.
Appreciate the call.
And thanks for listening. And I'll continue watching the show. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
All right, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate the
Good call.
No. Yeah, that's a good call. And what I said is, he did say that he, but it was a different thing of being raised in Ivy League schools and in these Skull and Bone and secret societies all the way up into the CFR and, rubbing shoulders with these guys in the business world and stuff. I do see a distinction there that he really hasn't been a part of the establishment that has been running stuff. At least I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I think that is a slight distinction of that. And everybody who watches this knows I don't just fawn over everything Trump does. I think he has his faults, but I think that's one of the reasons why he's hated so much is he's not playing by those really deep state rules. That, in my opinion, that's what I kind of think. But do we have another call on there, Dustin?
Yeah, let's go to Carl from Pennsylvania coal region.
Carl, what's going on? Hey, Carl, before you get into your question, we got a few other people on there, so let's kind of keep it a little more succinct, but we do want to hear what you have to say. What's going on, man? Carl.
Yeah, I mean, I if I had time, do you hear me?
Yeah.
Do you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, if I had time, I would touch base on some of the stuff he was saying, but I don't. I wanted to just get into the topic that I'm into. I mean, there's it's any way you look at it, what he was saying in different, I mean, you can look when Clinton was in office, it just fell right into his lap. I mean, the people before him did that. It made him look like a god. He signed a free trade agreement, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it just at all like Obama ruined our country in a sense, to my opinion. And then Trump comes in and looks like a sick, I'm not dissing Trump, but, anyway, he's a great guy. I voted for him. I'm just saying, everything falls into play. It's just like domino effect, monopoly, however you want to look at it. Well, I'm thankful we have somebody like that that's protecting us and going after the people that's taken our jobs and taken our money, over the years. I mean, it's been 20 years since a free trade agreement. And, that it's disgusting, in my opinion, to even think about it. But anyway, my topic was, and I was trying to get this out to a couple different people here that have call-ins. Well, I don't know if you guys are aware of the ghost cities that China had built. A lot of ghost cities that they had built, they replicated Paris and New York City and bigger cities around the world. Now, since the free trade agreement, since I'm on that topic, they went and they were having so much overhead of money from, the United States, that what they did was they figured, well, we'll build with this excess money, we'll put trillions and trillions and we'll replicate these cities and have investors invest in them. Not necessarily did people live in these buildings. They did make, I believe, Shenzhen, one of the coronavirus, outbreak areas, or that I think that newly became a city that was a ghost city. But I don't know if you guys are aware of all the cities that they have up that no one lives in. And a lot of the people over there, they outnumber us big time, whether it be 12-1, 15-1 or what. But a lot of the people that do have the money, they use it as investment opportunities and retirement opportunities for, their people, in a sense, to where they figured, well, we'll build these and our economic growth, our more or less that they thought that the value would go up and this would be a good substantial way to put the money that they were receiving from the United States, plus into the military, the island that they built off the coast and stuff that's top secret. But what I'm getting into is the ghost cities. And this is in correlation to the coronavirus, in a sense, to where I found a very interesting topic to Mr. McMahon. Now, this guy here is more or less saying that about how the Chinese economy worked, where growth was driven by debt. Now, in a sense, to where the free trade, now that Trump pulled into position, the position of the Chinese economy, it's where so much debt has been accumulated in the interest of building an incredible amount of waste, whether it be empty housing, empty factories, infrastructures in cities, local authorities can never repay it. So that sort of model of economic growth can't continue. So all that money that they put into this is more or less their economy is collapsing, in a sense. It's pretty bad over there. And what this all comes out to is really, I'll read you a quote from this, that officials in Beijing talk a lot about needing to move up the value chain into more technological advanced industries, and that innovation is the way of the future for the Chinese economy. But at the moment, Beijing is really between a rock and a hard place because the economic growth is dependent on the accumulation of debt used to build stuff, and it's no longer sustainable without potentially something going very, very wrong. Now, this is, I could send you guys the link. You guys could have brought this up. But to me, it sounds almost like this is in the works. And sure, maybe it was created. And if you're watching other people from China, you see people on Facebook, this and that, talking about, I've seen a lot of stuff to where they're saying that this is BS, that this is just falsified, that it's not nothing to be worried about, that they're just trying to put an FF out there, for the whole global substantial. They have to have something bad happen over there to accumulate for the debt that they put into these infrastructures that are just ghost cities, to where, I don't know if you guys see where the point I'm going. If you want me to send you a link to it, to where you can read it, and understand it. But to what I'm reading and seeing is more or less they had to have something like this happen, and it's not as bad as what they're making it out to be. I think that it is a big FF, false flag, I should say, in a sense. And if that's the case, then you listen to a lot of these people in China to where they're saying that this is not what's going on. The people aren't sick and dying and this and that, which in some cases, yes, I guess. If the hospitals are flooded and you're having a heart attack and you can't get in, yeah, you're going to. But how many people are, how many people aren't, the reports aren't there. You know, I just find this to be very interesting in a sense to where something else big is going to come out of this, regardless of what, where, why, if it comes between Russia and China. But yes, what to touch base back on what he said, do I see, you know, a population agenda cut? Do I see something that's going to happen to where, you know, they need to diminish and the Georgia headstones and all of that? Yes, I do believe that, you know, we are on a verge of collapse, I should say, whether it be an economic collapse or the U.S. dollar collapse or something is going to come about this, and it's not going to be good for anybody around the world. I believe they are trying to cut. The one thing, the Deagle report, I don't know if you guys are informed with the Deagle report. If you've been on there, it's a government website that you can go on, and they project more or less the economic growth. They project the GDP, they project the money, they project the military and the population. Well, if you go on to Deagle.com and you look at the United States by 2025 has 2/3 loss of population. That's the biggest cut out of any other country that's on there, and there's a lot. And what's kind of irrelevant to the situation is that all our allies have cuts in population and in money, GDP, and in military. But nobody else. Everybody else kind of substantially seem to remain the same. So if that's true, and this coronavirus is a false flag on China's part or counterpart, which we were training for specifics in. Our guys were over in Seattle. They were in California dropping in gas masks in the middle of broad daylight or doing exercise trainings. I mean, and they're all going dark. I mean,
so you got some links for this? I'll take a look at it.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. All right, so the ghost cities, they never got plumbing. China over their head on that situation. We got in over our head on everything. They're still producing things. Both our economies could be taken down at this point. And not just us, it's just all around the globe. And they play this game back and forth, borrow here, buy here. That's just market does. Now, addressing the Deagle report, yes, it does absolutely say that our populated by like 2/3. Here's the thing that essentially nobody is talking about because they're so worried about this nonsense global is there is no global warming. It's a global cooling. We're about to have a mini ice age. We're in a grand solar minimum, and that's going to affect entire northern United States and the northern Europe. And so what's going to happen is people are going to move China, and it's going to be kind of a shocker to us. They know it. The scientists know it, and that's why none of their global warming. And so there's going to be people that die, I'm sure. But people are going to move to China. They're going to move to Africa. They're going to move to South America. Estimates of many things. It looks like Brazil very well might be the new superpower of the Americas if this does come to with half of our country being covered with an ice sheet, essentially.
So I don't know. Yeah, well, I don't know. Yeah, is this still Carl? Because I got cut off for a while there. I was. We still got Carl. Yeah. All right. So hey, Carl, appreciate the call in, my brother. We are running late though, and I just spent the last 5 minutes because I had a ghost demon in my internet. It might have came from that ghost city you were talking about. I'm not sure, but my internet shut down. So thank you so much for the call. I really appreciate it, man.
Hey, Carl, quick question for you. There's some people in the chat asking if you have an online presence. Are you on social media or anything?
No, I'm on Marfugo. I go with him in a sense. I call in and report, but no, I don't have anything. I should, but I don't.
Get on that, man.
No,
Fire it up.
not right now. Yeah.
Fire
I
it
mean,
up.
we can't deny that there is there is stuff going on with our weather. I mean, whether it be in the United States, I mean, a lot of weird shit in the last 3 years has been going on. We can't deny that. So she might be right.
Well, he talked about.
I'll get on.
About he talked about the island, the Spratly Islands. The Spratly Islands, from if the model of with the global cooling and everything goes, and with our magnetic sphere, the Spratly Islands is going to be the new South Pole, and part of the very western part of Brazil, which is kind of Bolivia area, is going to be our new magnetic South Pole.
Yeah, the poles are
you drill a
shifting,
hole straight from the Spratly through there. That's where you would end up, and so that's what's going on, and that's what's going to cause the cooling and everything.
That's very interesting. I don't know a lot to speak on that, but I do know that the whole global warming stuff is a joke. It's not really. It's not happening for the reasons they say it is, not the anthropogenic side of stuff. But
dollars aren't going to do anything.
All right, so we've got a couple more calls in the queue. You want me to move to the next one?
Yeah, move.
I gotta head out, you guys. So I'm gonna.
You gotta head out, Mike. Yeah, we're gonna take one more call, and whoever's on the
one
call,
more less than 5 minute call, please.
Yeah. Get right to your point on this one, because we, so just 30-second. I know you'd love to chat with us, and we'd love to chat with you too. But get to your question so we can answer it, because we're running past time here.
All right, so we got Martin from Florida. He was just in the chat saying some stuff, so I told him to call. So he called in.
Okay.
So you've got Martin from Florida.
Martin, how's it going? You're on with the Patriot panel. What's going on, man?
What's up, guys? Glad to see y'all there. Don't know Jennifer. Glad to see you on the show tonight, Jennifer. Hey, guys, I just listening to everybody on the comment board and listening to your guys' opinions on this virus. I think we're all on the same page here that maybe this virus was just an attempt by the Chinese just to see how it would act on their own people before they just distributed it across the world. And I think it's Patriot shows like this. I think we all need to get together and start talking about what we can do to help ourselves as a group, because, we're not going to be able to trust our government to help us out because, my opinion is our Washington deep state, who's in bed with China, probably already knew about this coming before we ever heard about it. And it's probably already made measures to secure their safety and pretty much to hell with the rest of the American people. So what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I want to speak to that real quick, because I could totally see something like that actually happening, where this was a test run, and whoever started it, that's kind of one of the things I've thought for a while, is this a test run to see how people mobilize, to see how they can make something spread, to see how they can, and then all the geopolitical posturing that comes with that afterwards. I've always kind of thought that's a very likely possibility with what we're seeing unfold right now. Anybody else on the panel want to respond to that?
That's certainly a possibility. This is just my gut feeling. My gut feeling is this wasn't intentional by China. I think that they're just sloppy. I think they're working on weaponizing viruses, and this just happened to escape. But oftentimes, in order for something to be a, quote, conspiracy or to be nefarious, we think that it has to be set up. I don't know that that's necessarily the case. I think that these corrupt governments, including the United States government and the Chinese government, are skilled at never letting an accident go to waste. And so as soon as this virus got out there, they were like, hey, we could use this to clamp down. We could stop the Hong Kong protesters. So I don't know. I don't have the evidence, because I can't trust our media. I can't trust our government to know exactly what's going on in China. But I know this: we should all be skeptical of the violations and how they could use this to weaponize, to harm our stock market, to harm their own people, to crack down on Hong Kong, and how our government, look, I've been calling it since everyone's saying Trump's going to have an easy path in 2020. Maybe so. But I've been calling it for a month now. I said they're going to crash the economy. The Federal Reserve will attempt to crash the economy to stop Trump. Maybe they use the coronavirus to help do that. I don't know. The caller is absolutely right that it's about personal responsibility. Don't rely on the government. It's not just us righties saying it. Famed leftist philosopher Michel Foucault, he calls it biopower. If you give the government the power to give you life, so if you rely on food stamps, if you rely on that for shelter or for disease control, you also give the government the power to take away your life.
Right.
And that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else?
Any chance that my volume is back?
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
totally agree.
Whoa, sorry, Jennifer.
Can you hear me?
We can. We can.
Freaking
Quick, Doug, talk.
My Logitech camera microphone switch was deactivated somehow.
Yeah.
Say something,
Low
man.
volume or normal volume?
It's low.
It's a little low, but
What about the
but not as low as it was before when you were giving us your interpretive dance. It's higher than that.
Okay. I'm sorry that you guys had to.
Hey, I just got one question. For Doug. All you got to do, Doug, is give me a thumbs up. But how's things going with that moon pile munch and RC slurping cousin humping dude that you got that you want to try to find that you sent out word here the other night? I would really love to show him my backyard if you ever find out who this guy is. Yeah, that's him right there. Yeah,
Did you?
Daryl and his other brother, Daryl.
We have people working.
I'm sure we can use a Facebook facial recognition, right?
Justice is concerned.
Nice.
That right there is the poster child for constipation.
Well, hey, I forgot. Is your name Carl? Was this Carl or was that the last? Was that Ghost City guy?
No.
What's Carl?
No,
This is Martin.
Martin. Okay. Sorry.
Martin from Florida.
Hey,
I'm the school teacher from Florida who can't get a job now because I'm a conservative.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, you called me before. Yeah, we called him before.
I taught a few years, and I was like, and it's been bad here because what's on in Louisiana. Look, y'all, I walked into my kid's school the other day, and there is a sign right in front, and it says, "In God We Trust." Doug can, attest to this. We handle things around here. They haven't run over anything up here.
We still have punishment.
We'll try to
system
that way.
That's good. All right. Well, hey, Mark, thanks for calling in, and you need to call in again and get a hold of each one of us. You can through our YouTube channel on the contact page. We'd love to have you on and talk a little more in depth, but we're gonna let you go here because I think about ready to wind up. I think Mike's got to get out of here, so we're gonna. Anybody who didn't make it through on the calls, we're sorry. We had some technical difficulties. We got a little bit of a late start, and we also then, just had some, went a little longer on some of our discussions. But we're working it out. We're going to get these all these glitches all fine tuned and figured out. So please stick with us and call back in. But any final words from anybody on the panel?
Go ahead. Go ahead, Joe.
Well,
I need to direct.
I want to say real quick in response to that the first caller, I think it was the first caller, I can't remember now, the one talking about the flag and talking about our bases around the world. Yeah. And I've always said if I was president, if I had the power, the king of the world, I wouldn't have bases around the world except for maybe some intelligence gathering operations. It would not be military boots on the ground at all. I'd have our border sewed up so tight you wouldn't be able to get a cockroach across it. I mean, a real cockroach, guys, not, like a Mexican. I'm talking about a legitimate cockroach would not be able to scurry across our border because I'd have too many damn troops on the border. And, if there is a Democrat out there who stands for the same things that I stand for, I have not met them yet. So maybe they're out there. Maybe there's a piece of the Democrat Party that guy said is true. Maybe they're out there. Maybe they hold our same values, and maybe the rest of the party has just gone crazy left, but I have yet to meet one. And all the ones that I've met that are sane left the Democrat Party. Like this ugly guy with a small beard below me right here. They left the Democrat Party. We're talking about people who have come to their senses. If there's somebody still hanging around the Democrat Party, still on the plantation, I don't think they're with us at all on just about anything I can think of. So maybe they are. Maybe I'm wrong. What do you guys think? I don't know, but I just wanted to respond to that guy because he gave a lot of commentary. We didn't really give any answer back.
Yeah. I think that, I ran for Congress. My campaign manager's a Democrat. My wife's a Democrat. They're both furious with the direction the party. They're furious with the direction that the party's gone. Obviously, and they think that the extremists from the end of Bloomberg the whole way to Bernie, both ends of the party are terrible. I think my personal preference is this. I'm trying to reach out to people on the left because I think that we need allies to fight against the massive corruption. And although they might be misinformed or they've been propagandized to, I think that you catch more flies with honey, and that I'm trying to just be genuine and listen to people that come from different angles on this as well. What I think that we offer is we have the truth and the facts on our side. So we don't have to shy away from talking to people or not being friends with people on the other side because we're right. And so I try to show, just like if you're a Christian, you could talk to people, or you could either say, well, I'm not going to talk to non-Christians, or you could just talk to them. But the real way to convert people is, how do you live your life? What are the actions you're doing? And I think that if we all show we're good people, we're conservatives, we have these values, and put that out there for the world to see and be willing to accept people even that might disagree with us, I think that'll get us further in the long run. Yeah. But I definitely understand that there's a lot of, it's hard to make that comment and then check out that video from Caitlin Bennett getting mobbed at Ohio University because she's a conservative. So it's tough. They make it tough on us, but I guess that's my take on it.
Yeah. Mike, what do you got? Final words there. Pull Mike up.
He had it out.
He had it out. Jennifer. Pull Mike up, Dustin. Mike, just give us some of these final thoughts that you're feeling, towards some of these topics. Okay. I agree. No, that's true. That's good. All right. Well, we appreciate that.
Hugh sent me.
Q sent me. Did you say Q sent me? Okay.
He said I could have his stuff, right? He said I could have his stuff. That's what I thought he said.
Yeah, that's what I thought he said too,
okay,
and his followers.
Here, I think the government has done an amazing job at creating an R and a D and make people terrified to run to them, and they've done amazing. If that's one thing that they've done, that is what it is. It's like, oh, but I can't be an R, but I can't be a D. But how about we just vote for and support those people who don't have a title? Do they have to have an R or D? No. Adam Kokesh is running. He's a veteran. He wants to do essentially what I was saying is, where you give states their rights back. And most people don't even know who he is.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
Of course, he's not perfect, but that's, those are some things that we really need to look into, because that's just how it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
No matter what, we'll still control everything.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with you. I think that there we have, the fact of the matter is that we try to, describe our value system, and a lot of times, so we're saying Democrats, Republicans, right? And that typically what the Democrats will support most of the time, with the killing of babies, with the crazy immigration policy, with the guns. That's why there's this separation right now. But I agree with you. that they've done a great job at dividing us, and we need to get back to just being good patriots that believe in the Constitution and come together on those, on those bases. But Doug, I'm going to give you final word, and then we're going to sign off. Do you have anything to say?
I would just like to say that it was a pleasure, and I'm sorry that I had microphone issues. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'd like to just say that what I always say when I end my videos, and that is, please pray for America and our president and our men and women in law enforcement and our vets. And look, we got to do better than we're doing right now. And hopefully we will overcome and be able to pull this all off in the long run.
Yeah. Yeah. So I kind of lied. If you could swing back, Dustin, one more time here to the panel. And right before we sign off, Mike, do you have any final word for us before we say goodbye? Can you bring him up? Bring Mike up. Mike? No, nothing.
Like if you're not voting for Trump, just don't say anything. Just
Don't say anything. Right.
You
It's actually
give Joe my stuff, would you?
He
You
said,
send me.
wait. No, I heard him
You
say
send
something
me Joe my
about
stuff.
donating his subs to me. I'm pretty sure that's what I just heard him say that. Okay. No, maybe not. All right, guys. Well, hey, we appreciate you guys sticking around with us as long as you did. This has been another episode. We had a few glitches. It was number 6, we think. It might have been number 7, but we went with 6. So we're going to be doing this It is number 6. Okay. I did count right then. So we're going to be doing this every Monday night. We switch it around to each channel. We're building up everybody's channel that's on this. So please go subscribe to Jennifer at Veterans for Truth and Douglas Ducote, Robert Noerr,
Like the conjunction, Noerr.
Mike from Patriot
I still don't
Hour.
know what a
even though he's
conjunction is.
and American Joe. You guys go sub up to them, follow the streams, make sure your notifications on, and most importantly, American Joe, Robert, I think Douglas, myself, I don't know about Jennifer or Mike, and Mike's the silent type, so he's not going to say anything to us, but follow us on D-Live, guys. One final push for D-Live. You get all your notifications. We can say what we want to over there. It's a great platform. Please go subscribe. Find us on D-Live. We need your support over there because we're not long for the YouTube world. So until next time, you guys, we appreciate it. It's been a great night. You guys have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next week. Later.
This program is produced by